The sky above the battlefield was a harsh gray, lit by the flashes of distant explosions. Smoke and dust hung heavy, hiding the sun and making the world look like a dying planet. Captain Daniel Voss squinted through the haze, gripping the edge of a mangled hover transport. The air smelled of scorched metal and ozone. Every step he took echoed the weight of the war, a war that humans had joined not by choice but by necessity. Daniel was not a soldier in the traditional sense. He was a combat engineer, one of those humans who preferred building and fixing over killing. Yet here he was running across the battlefield, dodging debris and the occasional energy bolt, toward a figure that seemed almost impossible to reach. Princess Kaelira of the Aelith stood at the edge of the crumbled defensive wall. Her armor, the ornate chest plate that marked her rank and heritage, was split down the center, sparks flying from exposed circuits. She was beautiful in a warrior's sense, tall, proud, and deadly, but at this moment her pride was endangered. One wrong strike could tear her completely apart. Daniel ran faster. His mind raced as much as his legs. How do you fix alien armor under fire? He thought. He had studied alien technology before, but nothing could have prepared him for the intricacy of Aelith battle gear. Every plate had multiple layers of energy shielding, microservos, and pressure points. One wrong move and the armor could explode, injuring him or Kaelira, or both. Princess Kaelira, he shouted over the roar of engines and weapons fire. She turned her piercing blue eyes toward him, not with fear, but with measured curiosity.
Step back!
I can fix this, but you need to stay still. Kaelira hesitated. Her instincts screamed to fight, to attack the advancing Dominion troops who were already breaching the perimeter. But the split in her chest armor was too dangerous. Sparks flew and smoke hissed, threatening to ignite the surrounding ammunition crates. She gave a sharp nod. Trust the human, she thought, though her pride resisted it. Daniel dropped beside her, his pack of tools clattering on the ground. He immediately began inspecting the damage. The chest plate was more than broken. It was shredded, the energy cores flickering in and out. The design was elegant, even deadly, with its flowing lines and protective filigree. To him, it was a masterpiece of engineering, and every second counted. Kaelira knelt slightly, presenting herself as best as she could while keeping her posture strong. Don't slow down, she said softly, her voice calm despite the chaos around them. Fix it quickly. Lives depend on it, Daniel blinked. Did she just encourage me? His fingers worked furiously, welding small panels, connecting wires, rerouting power flows. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he didn't stop. Sparks flew as his tools met alien metal, but each piece he replaced seemed to hum with new energy. Hold still, Daniel warned. I'm connecting the core stabilizer. He pressed a small interface to the armor's chest and watched the energy flows realign. The blue circuits brightened and the chest plate hissed as if waking from a long sleep. Kaelira felt the strength returning almost immediately. The armor was mending piece by piece. Impressive, Kaelira said, her voice softer now, tinged with respect. Humans, you're clever. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. We survive by solving problems quickly. Killing comes second. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. She had fought many species, yet humans were something else entirely. They were fragile, yes, but their minds moved fast, adapting under pressure in ways no Aelith warrior had ever learned. There was courage in it and even a touch of brilliance. A sudden blast rocked the ground nearby. Daniel gritted his teeth and held Kaelira steady. Almost done, he muttered. He pulled out a small energy welder, carefully sealing the final cracks. The chest plate clicked and hummed, fully operational again. Kaelira flexed, testing the new armor. Every movement was smooth. Every servo responded instantly. The power in her chest plate no longer threatened to explode. She turned to Daniel, her eyes sharp and calculating. You saved me, she said. Not as a question, but as a fact. Daniel shrugged modestly. Just doing my job. Everyone deserves a chance to fight another day. For a moment, they simply watched the battlefield side by side. Around them, the Dominion forces continued to advance, but neither flinched. There was an unspoken understanding. Humans and aliens could be stronger together. Your armor. It's different now, Kaelira said. Stronger than before. It's human work, Daniel nodded. Improvisation. Humans make do with what we have, and we make it work. A Dominion artillery shell landed nearby, throwing up dust and debris. Both of them ducked instinctively. When the dust settled, Kalira's armor had held perfectly. She stood, adjusting the chest plate with precision. "Then let's see if your improvisation can win us this fight," she said. Her tone was commanding now, warrior-like, but there was a new respect woven into it. Daniel followed her lead, carrying tools in one hand and ready for combat in the other. Together they moved forward, human and alien, facing the Dominion with a new bond forged in fire and sparks. As they advanced, Kalira glanced at Daniel and whispered almost to herself, "Don't stop." He caught the words, understanding their meaning on more than one level. Not just the repair, keep moving, keep fighting, don't give up. He smiled grimly. "I won't," he said. In that moment, amid smoke, fire, and the chaos of war, a legend began. The human who dared to touch the armor of a princess and lived. The princess who leaned close, trusting a human when few others would. Together, they were more than a soldier and an engineer. They were the beginning of something greater, a unity of strength and ingenuity that would shock both friend and foe alike. The sun struggled to shine through the haze, and the battlefield stretched endlessly before them. But Daniel and Kalira moved forward step by step, ready to face the Dominion with courage, intelligence, and a bond that neither metal nor fire could break. And so the war began, not just a war of armies, but the war of humans, proving that they were more than survival machines. They were innovators, problem solvers, and maybe, just maybe, the most dangerous allies any species could have. The battlefield had quieted slightly after the initial clash, though the smell of smoke and burnt metal lingered like a stubborn shadow. Daniel Voss adjusted the straps of his tool pack, scanning the area for any signs of Dominion reinforcements. Even with Kalira's armor now fully functional, the war was far from over. Kalira moved beside him, her armored boots crunching against shattered concrete. She observed the battlefield with the sharp eyes of a seasoned warrior, noting fallen soldiers, debris, and the faint traces of Dominion energy signatures. Yet there was something new in her observation, a curiosity about the human beside her. "You adapt quickly," Kalira said, her voice low, almost conversational as they moved through a broken trench. "You don't panic. You see a problem and solve it, not just fight blindly like my people often do." Daniel glanced at her, smiling faintly. "Humans survive by thinking, not just by swinging a sword or firing a gun. You've seen it today," she nodded slowly.
"Yes, today."
"You saved my life. That is not something my council expected from a human." Daniel shrugged, brushing dust from his sleeve. "I don't need expectations. I just need results." Kalira studied him, noting how his hands were covered in grime, yet they moved with steady confidence. There was a strange mix of precision and improvisation in everything he did. Her people prized strength and honor, but Daniel brought something different, a mind that could outthink death itself. Ahead, a squad of Dominion scouts appeared, attempting to flank the remnants of the coalition forces. Without hesitation, Kalira drew her blade, its energy edge humming to life. Daniel crouched beside a fallen wall segment, pulling out a small device from his pack. It looked like a simple cylinder, but he flipped switches and it began emitting a high-frequency pulse. The Dominion scouts paused, confused by the interference in their targeting systems. Kalira slashed through the first wave with elegance and precision, while Daniel threw small EMP charges that disrupted the enemy's armor. Within moments, the Dominion squad was neutralized, not by brute force alone, but by the combination of human ingenuity and alien skill. Kalira's eyes widened slightly. "Clever," she murmured. "Your methods? Unconventional." "But effective," Daniel smirked. "Unconventional is just another word for human." The two continued forward, moving through the ruins, encountering small skirmishes along the way. Each time, Daniel's improvisation and Kalira's raw skill complemented each other perfectly. He would rig a temporary shield with scraps of metal and energy cells, while she used the opening to strike decisively. Dominion soldiers began to retreat, wary of the strange duo. At a small outpost, Kalira paused, her armor brushing against the broken walls. "Tell me," she asked, her tone more serious now, "why do your people fight like this? You are weaker than us physically, yet you risk everything with such confidence." Daniel knelt, examining a broken turret. "Because we have to. Every human knows that if we hesitate, we die. We've survived worse with nothing but our minds and courage. Strength is useful, but creativity saves lives." Kalira tilted her head, considering his words. "I see it now. Today you didn't just save me, You saved dozens of our warriors and maybe even this position." He waved his hand modestly. "It's teamwork. I fix, you fight. Together we make a difference." She allowed herself a smile, almost impy. The planet Drenhall hung in the black void like a jewel under siege. Smoke and fire from burning cities streaked the atmosphere, painting the skies with red and gray. The Dominion forces had arrived in full strength, their massive war machines, cutting a swath of destruction across the Coalition's defenses. Captain Daniel Voss adjusted his goggles as he surveyed the ruined cityscape from a ridge. Below him, Coalition troops moved in organized chaos, trying to hold the city against overwhelming numbers. Princess Kalira stood beside him, her repaired chest armor gleaming faintly under the fractured sunlight. "This is worse than I imagined," she muttered. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed concern. "If we continue with traditional formations, the Dominion will crush us in hours." Daniel nodded. "Then we don't fight traditionally. We fight smart." Kalira raised an eyebrow. "Explain." He gestured to the streets below. "Your warriors are brave, but predictable. Dominion machines learn patterns quickly. If we keep them in open battle, we lose. I say we use guerrilla tactics. Traps, misdirection, ambushes. Turn their strength against them." Kalira studied him, unsure if her people's honor would allow such unconventional methods. Yet the logic was undeniable. "And you think humans can teach this?" Daniel smiled faintly. "I don't teach, I improvise, follow my lead, and we survive." The first test came sooner than expected. A squadron of Dominion walkers descended from the upper city, their armored legs pounding the streets, crushing everything in their path. Coalition soldiers opened fire, but their weapons barely scratched the machine's thick hulls. Daniel motioned Kalira to follow him into a narrow alley lined with rubble. "Here's our advantage," he whispered. "The alley is too tight for those walkers to maneuver. We'll force them into a trap." Kalira hesitated. "My warriors—" "Trust me," Daniel interrupted. "I've seen worse and survived. You just fight when I tell you." Reluctantly, she nodded. She signaled a small group of elite Aelith warriors to follow. Daniel quickly set improvised explosives along the sides of the alley, using old energy cells, scrap metal, and wiring. Every device was a gamble, but Daniel had confidence in his calculations. "Ready?" he asked. Kalira nodded, gripping her energy blade tightly. The walkers entered the alley, their mechanical legs causing dust and rubble to rain down. Daniel triggered the charges. Explosions rocked the narrow space, debris falling onto the walkers, jamming their legs and slowing their advance. Kalira leaped forward, her blade slicing through joints and exposed circuits, crippling the machines one by one. Coalition soldiers cheered from behind cover, amazed at the effectiveness of the trap. Kalira's respect for Daniel deepened. This human, fragile as he appeared, had saved dozens of lives with nothing but his mind and a handful of scrap materials. After the battle, Kalira helped Daniel clear debris. "You do this much instinctively," she said, watching him adjust wiring on a damaged turret. "Humans, you think differently. It's effective." Daniel wiped sweat from his brow. "We have to. Thinking fast is the difference between surviving and dying." Kalira considered his words. Her people valued strength, skill, and honor, but Daniel's human ingenuity had achieved what raw power could not. She felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity. Perhaps there was more to humans than she had ever believed. As night fell, the city grew eerily quiet. The Dominion forces regrouped, and the Coalition defenders prepared for the next wave. Daniel moved through the ranks, repairing broken turrets, reinforcing barricades, and showing soldiers how to make the most of limited resources. His presence inspired confidence, a human engineer who could turn scrap into survival. Kalira observed him, noting the way he worked tirelessly, never complaining, always thinking. She realized that his value went beyond his skills. His courage, calmness under pressure, and relentless determination set an example for everyone around him. The next morning, the Dominion returned in force. This time they unleashed a massive walker accompanied by flying drones. Coalition soldiers fired relentlessly, but the machines advanced steadily, crushing defenses. Kalira and Daniel regrouped, assessing the battlefield. "We can't hold them like this," Kalira said. "We need a plan." Daniel's eyes scanned the cityscape. "We'll use them against themselves. Lead the walker through the main street where I've set traps. Use the drone's weaknesses. They rely on sensors." "I can blind them temporarily." Kalira raised an eyebrow. "And you think this will work?" "I know it will," Daniel replied, voice firm. "Follow my lead." The battle began. Daniel and Kalira coordinated like a single unit. He triggered small electromagnetic pulses, blinding the drones temporarily while she directed soldiers to attack exposed weak points on the walker. Improvised barricades forced the machines into confined spaces, where explosives Daniel had set earlier could take them down. The humans and Aelith moved as one, combining strength, skill, and intelligence. One by one, the Dominion machines fell. The massive walker finally collapsed in a heap of burning metal, and the drones retreated into the sky. Coalition soldiers erupted in cheers. Kalira looked at Daniel, awe in her eyes. "Your methods, they work. Humans, you are remarkable." Daniel shook his head modestly. "We just survive, that's all." Kalira smiled faintly. "No, that is more than surviving. You change the battlefield. You change how we fight. I am beginning to understand your people." They walked through the aftermath, noting the wounded, the destroyed machines, and the soldiers who had survived thanks to their efforts. Kalira's admiration for Daniel grew with every step. This human, who seemed so ordinary, had done what many Aelith warriors could not: turn the tide of a battle through ingenuity and courage. As night fell again, the city quieted. Dominion forces had retreated, but both knew it was only temporary. The war would continue, fiercer than before. Kalira adjusted her chest plate, looking at Daniel with a new resolve. "Tomorrow we fight again," she said. "And I want your strategies guiding us. If humans think like this, perhaps we can finally win this war." Daniel smiled, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. "Then we'll fight, and we'll win. Together." For the first time, Kalira felt hope. Not just hope for survival, but hope for victory. With a human like Daniel at her side, she realized that the future of her people, and perhaps the entire coalition, might depend on the ingenuity and courage of a species they had long underestimated. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows of the ruined city, Dominion commanders reported back. "The princess fights alongside a human. They are turning the tide. Be careful. This human is dangerous." Kalira glanced at Daniel as they looked out over the battlefield. "You truly are remarkable," she whispered. "Perhaps humans are not just allies. Perhaps they are the key to our future." Daniel shrugged, smiling faintly. "We just survive. But I guess surviving can change a lot of things." Together, they walked toward the next battle, their bond growing stronger, their teamwork sharper, and their resolve unbreakable. The siege of Drenhall had begun in earnest, and humanity's ingenuity was proving itself not just useful, but indispensable. And in that moment, Kalira knew one thing for certain. Humans were not just survivors. They were catalysts, problem solvers, and a force that could change the course of history itself. The coalition forces had held the city of Drenhall for 2 days, but the tension was not just from the Dominion outside. Whispers traveled faster than blaster fire, spreading through the ranks like wildfire. Many Aelith warriors admired Daniel, Voss, the human engineer whose cleverness had turned hopeless battles into victories, but admiration was not universal. In the grand halls of the coalition command post, some Aelith nobles watched the human closely. Their faces were hard, eyes narrowed, filled with suspicion. How can a human, a fragile species, be trusted with the lives of Aelith warriors? One whispered. Another scoffed, muttering about a human meddling in matters of honor. Princess Kalira noticed the tension. She had fought alongside Daniel for days now, and her respect for him had grown steadily. But she also knew that her loyalty to the human would not be accepted by all. Still, she refused to let whispers undermine their efforts. Daniel has saved countless lives, she said quietly to her advisors. His strategies work. We cannot afford to dismiss him. One noble, Lord Vareth, sneered. A princess defending a human? What will the council say? You endanger your people's honor. Kalira's jaw tightened. And yet without him we would be dead or enslaved. Honor does not win wars. Strength and intelligence do. Vareth's eyes flashed with anger, but Kalira ignored him. She had learned that day that survival often meant defying tradition. The human beside her was not just an ally, he was necessary. Meanwhile, Daniel worked tirelessly in the workshop, repairing and upgrading equipment. The battlefield had left many coalition weapons damaged, and Dominion attacks could return at any moment. Sparks flew as he welded, adjusted and rewired devices using whatever scraps he could find. His mind raced ahead, already imagining the next attack, the next way to turn weakness into strength. Kalira entered the workshop quietly, observing him at work. Even after days of battle, he did not slow down, his focus absolute. Daniel, she said softly, we must talk. He looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. What is it? There are those among my people who do not trust you, she explained. Some may act against you or even against me to remove your influence, Daniel. The night air over Drenhall was heavy with tension. The coalition forces had held their positions, but scouts reported a new Dominion advance. This time the enemy carried something far more terrifying than standard infantry or walkers. The Warborn, biomechanical super soldiers designed for unmatched speed, strength, and adaptability. Captain Daniel Voss examined the reports, frowning. These things, they're not like the others, he said. His voice carried both concern and determination. They adapt faster than any machine, learn quickly, and they don't hesitate. We have to outthink them. Traps alone won't be enough. Princess Kalira adjusted her chest plate and surveyed the horizon. The Warborn shimmered in the distance, massive and terrifying, their synthetic muscles rippling as they advanced with inhuman precision. We will face them together, she said firmly. Your strategies will lead us, Daniel. I trust you. Daniel felt the weight of her trust. Humans were often underestimated by other species, but Kalira believed in him. Then we'll need every scrap of ingenuity we have, he replied. The first clash began at the eastern sector of the city. Warborn soldiers stormed through buildings and streets with terrifying speed, cutting down conventional troops in moments. Coalition forces struggled to hold them off. Daniel quickly assessed the battlefield. He grabbed scraps of Dominion tech, spare energy cells, and even pieces of wrecked walkers. Within minutes, he had set up a series of improvised traps, electromagnetic pulses to confuse the Warborn sensors, energy nets to slow their movement, and explosive barricades to control their path. Kalira moved with her warriors at the front, striking with precision and strength. But even her skill had limits against the Warborn. Daniel's interventions gave her the advantage she needed, guiding her strikes toward exposed weak points and creating openings for her soldiers. During the battle, Kalira's chest armor was hit by an energy blast. Sparks flew, circuits shorted, and she staggered slightly. Daniel's heart raced as he rushed to her side. Princess, are you all right? I'm fine, she gasped, though her voice carried pain. Keep moving, fight! No, Daniel said firmly. I'm not letting you fight like this. He pulled her into cover behind a ruined wall. The armor was badly damaged, more than what field repairs could fix. Her strength alone couldn't protect her. Daniel set to work immediately, using whatever materials he could salvage. Sparks flew as he welded, connected energy cores, and improvised new stabilizers. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he didn't stop. Every movement had to be precise. Any mistake could mean disaster for Kalira or himself. Kalira watched him work, her respect deepening with every passing second. She had fought beside many humans in her life, but none had moved with this level of focus and ingenuity under such pressure. His hands were steady, his mind racing ahead, anticipating problems before they happened. Almost there, Daniel muttered, connecting a final energy conduit. He activated the makeshift repair system. Sparks flared, circuits hummed, and slowly, Kalira's chest armor stabilized. She flexed, feeling the renewed strength surge through her body. This is incredible, she whispered, awe in her voice. Human engineering. It's like magic, Daniel shrugged, trying to appear modest. Improvisation. Humans make do with what we have and we make it work. Kalira's eyes softened. And it works better than anything my people could have built. You've saved me again, and possibly all of us. The Warborn continued to advance, relentless and terrifying. Daniel quickly directed soldiers to lead them into his traps. Each Warborn that fell inspired more hope in the defenders. Kalira's presence, enhanced by Daniel's rapid repairs, became a symbol for the troops, a beacon that inspired courage. One Warborn approached Kalira directly, its movements faster than any warrior could follow. Daniel saw the danger and acted instinctively. He grabbed a scrap energy cannon and fired at the Warborn's exposed joints, slowing it just enough for Kalira to strike decisively. She cut through its synthetic armor with a precise swing, the Warborn collapsing in a heap of metal and wires. Soldiers cheered. Even in the chaos of battle, the tide had begun to turn. Kalira, standing tall in her repaired armor, raised her sword. "Forward!" she shouted. "We fight, we survive, we win." Daniel worked tirelessly behind the lines, repairing weapons, reinforcing barricades, and guiding soldiers to the safest and most effective positions. His human ingenuity became the backbone of the defense, turning near defeat into a chance for victory. As the battle wore on, Kalira moved beside him for a brief moment. "Daniel, you've changed everything. You've given us hope, strength, and strategy that no Aelith has ever imagined. You are remarkable." Daniel smiled, though he was exhausted. "I just do what I can. Survival, teamwork, and thinking ahead, that's all humans know." Kalira shook her head, smiling faintly. "No, that is more than enough. You inspire my people. You make them believe that humans are not just helpers. They can lead, create, and win." By nightfall, the Warborn forces had been pushed back. Many lay destroyed while the survivors retreated, cautious and wary of the human who seemed to anticipate their every move. The coalition troops had suffered losses, but the city of Drenhall remained under their control. Kalira surveyed the battlefield, her chest plate humming faintly from Daniel's repairs. "Tomorrow we strike back," she said. "And I want your strategies guiding us. Humans fight differently, think differently, and now I see how valuable that is." Daniel nodded. "Then we plan. We fight smart, we survive, and we win. Together." As the troops began to regroup, whispers spread among the soldiers. They spoke not of fear but of admiration. The human who had saved the princess, repaired her armor under fire, and guided the defenders was not just clever, he was a hero. Aelith and humans alike began to see that survival and victory could come from unlikely sources. Kalira watched Daniel move among the troops, adjusting devices, giving instructions, and calmly solving problems that would have overwhelmed anyone else. She realized something profound. Humans were not merely fragile creatures to be protected or underestimated. They were innovators, problem solvers, and a force that could change the outcome of a battle, even a war. That night, in the quiet of the city, Kalira turned to Daniel. "Tomorrow the Dominion will come again. They will bring more Warborn, but we will be ready. I trust you," Daniel smiled faintly. "Then we fight, and we win, together." For the first time, Kalira felt certain that humans were more than allies. They were catalysts, capable of turning despair into hope and weakness into strength. The legend of the Warborn princess and the human forge was beginning, a story that would inspire soldiers and civilians alike across the coalition. And somewhere in the Dominion command, officers reported back with alarm. "The princess fights with a human beside her. He is clever, fast-thinking, and dangerous. Adapt, or be destroyed." Kalira adjusted her armor once more, feeling the enhanced strength and renewed energy from Daniel's repairs. "We are ready," she whispered. "Let them come. We will not just survive, we will rise." Daniel watched the horizon, thinking ahead to the next battle, the next challenge, and the next opportunity to prove that humans could stand alongside the greatest warriors of the galaxy. And in that moment, both human and princess understood something vital. The Warborn could adapt, but so could they. And with courage, ingenuity, and unity, they would face any enemy, survive any threat, and forge a legacy that would be remembered across the stars. The horizon burned red with the fires of Drenhall as the Dominion unleashed their final assault. Thousands of soldiers and countless war machines poured into the city. Above them, warborns soared like shadows of death, their mechanical limbs and synthetic muscles glinting in the dying light. The coalition's forces braced for the fight of their lives. Captain Daniel Voss stood atop a ruined watchtower, surveying the approaching enemy. His tool pack was heavy with energy cells, repair devices, and improvised weapons. Beside him, Princess Kalira adjusted her chest armor, which hummed faintly from the upgrades he had installed. Sparks flew from exposed circuits, but the armor was ready. Stronger than it had ever been, it was a symbol of human ingenuity and alien strength united. "This is it," Kalira said quietly, her voice firm. "If we hold here, we hold Drenhall. If we fail," Daniel shook his head, "we won't fail. Not today, not ever. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and refusing to give up. That's what we do best." Kalira's eyes softened. She had seen him in the heat of battle, repairing weapons under fire, directing soldiers, and facing threats that would have paralyzed others. He had saved her life multiple times, repaired her armor in impossible conditions, and inspired troops to stand and fight. Now more than ever, she trusted him. The Dominion attack began with a thunderous roar. Warborn and mechanized infantry charged through the streets while energy cannons rained fire from above. Coalition soldiers fired back, but their lines shook under the onslaught. Daniel moved through the battlefield with calm precision. He repaired broken weapons, reinforced barricades, and activated improvised traps. Everywhere he went, soldiers felt a renewed sense of hope, as if his presence alone gave them strength. Kalira fought at the front, her blade a blur of light as she struck down Dominion soldiers and Warborn alike. Every swing of her sword was guided by Daniel's calculations, every movement coordinated with his